was talking to a customer earlier about, like jobs how many jobs have you had? And I said, I have probably had in my life easily 30 fucking jobs. Like 100, probably more than fucking way more than probably 50, to be honest with you. I mean, I've driven a cab. I've owned a pest control business legally and illegally. I've worked at a prison. I worked for Coca-Cola. I've worked for fucking McDonald's. I had a paper route. I used to shovel snow when I was a kid. Back when kids used to fucking, when they used to work. Thank you. I used to, like I said, I drove a cab. I remember that job fucking sucked. I think I drove a cab for like 2 days. I made $40. I was like, get the fuck out of here. I had an 84 Caprice cab, big gray Union Taxi. The phone number was 434-4444. And back then, you could call, they go Union, and you could go, yeah, I need a cab to 296 Washburn or whatever, and it'd be across the street from your house at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they would just go, beep, beep. And they'd wait a couple more minutes, and they'd go, beep, and somebody would come outside and go, we didn't call a cab. And, it was before they had fucking Star 69 or caller ID and shit. Or you would call a fucking pizza to somebody's house. I remember the one time somebody fucking, somebody called a pizza to my house when I was a kid. Me and my brother just got done shoveling. And we knew it was like a fucking friend. It was like a dickhead. Like, we had just, it was like maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. My mom's like, Pizza Hut's at the door. Did you guys order a pizza? I'm like, no. She's like, oh, you and your friends and you're making this poor guy come all the way out. He's not going to... I said, well, how much is it? He said it was like $8.99 for a large cheese, one topping with a 2-liter. And it wasn't anything crazy. And I just said, me and my brother were like, you want it? We just ended up getting it. It was funny. Thinking about like back in the day, like people used to like start like used to go pumpkin smashing. Like people used to go. It's insane. It sounds insane, but it is insane. Before there was a band called Smashing Pumpkins, we used to go and smash people's pumpkins. So now you have to remember the limited amount of fucking like IQ and wherewithal a 14-year-old or 15-year-old has. I barely have much more, but I have enough to know that that's not the right thing to do. And it's not your shit. You shouldn't be on somebody's porch. Blah, 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 blah. I understand. However, we were extremely competitive in our neighborhood, and we would count. Literally, like, just have a thing in our pocket, like, just before phones. And we would just roam the neighborhood. You would just run up on somebody's porch at night and fucking grab their pumpkin and, quietly walk down their porch. And, they'd see it in the morning on the side of the road. On the side of the street. And it's fucking stupid, I know. The other thing that we used to do was to throw, call it bombing. Today, bombing is probably something involving drugs or something. You know what I mean? But bombing back then was... back then, bombing was throw snowballs at cars. You know what I mean? Like, you go out to the corner and see a car, man, and the adrenaline rush from bombing, because sometimes you'd be like, oh fuck, they're turning over, they're stopping. Sometimes people would just be like, or it'd be an old lady, you know. And no one's ever broke somebody's window. Thank God no one's ever gotten hurt. I remember one time a dude chased us, and I was the biggest, you know, guy in the group. It was me and another Brandon, and he wasn't there, but he was a big kid too. He was bigger. He was kind of bigger than I was. He was taller for sure. We fucking hit. There was like a lady that lived next to my house. I don't even know her name. She looked, and I'm not saying this to be mean, she was just old, and, you know, she was probably from, like, Romania or something. Just a little normal fucking street, you know what I mean? Like, nothing crazy. I don't live in New York City or anything. I live in a small town outside of Buffalo, and she would wear, like, a scarf on her head, and I could just picture her, like, churning, like, a cauldron all day long, or making some kind of fucking, like, lizard soup. You know, like, she looked like a Disney witch. You know, she's just an old lady, really. I mean, but she would wear, like, a green fucking tattered skirt and, you know, witch colors. I mean, she might have been a witch, who knows? But her house was like, you know, like how some old people got shit all over the place. Like, you walk in, there's a sun room where you walk in, or a mud room, some people call it. I don't know why they call it a mud room. Maybe because it used to be mud back in the day and they used to keep jars and shit there. I don't know. Who cares? I don't. She had boxes and like fucking spider webs and shit. There'd be an old clock, fucking newspapers, maybe a dead mouse hanging somewhere in the corner, just randomly, and, you know, dead flies in the windowsill, and, you know, a fly swatter on the wall that never been used with a phone number for like the fucking, you know, where to get your taxes done or some bullshit. And I remember we got chased a couple times, and I never told anybody that you could run down our street and make a left, and while all the kids went through her yard, I would just open her side door to the mud. There was a mud room on the side door, and I would just, like, there was boxes everywhere. I would just kneel down behind some boxes, and, you know, you couldn't see in there, you know what I mean? It looked like it didn't go to anywhere, you know? So I remember the guy chased us. I was fucking running, but they passed me. And I remember hearing the guy, like, literally, like, just turn in the corner, and I just shut her door. And I heard him, and probably, like, you know, we were 14. He was probably my age now. He was like, I swear they went in, I swear somebody fucking went in the house. And the guy's like, man, there ain't nobody in that house. So they go through that, and I could hear them hopping the fence and shit. So time goes by, and you know, like, I take my winter hat off, I take my fucking winter coat off, and it's just getting hot, you know. So I go outside, and, you know, it's winter time, and it's not dark, but, you know, it's dark enough. And as soon as I come down the steps, I see somebody just turns the corner and bumps into me, and I go, hey, what the fuck are you doing in my yard? And the guy goes, well, yeah, some kids threw snowballs at our car, and they fucking ran through. And I go, what if my dog was out, you know, or whatever? And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, da, 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 da. And I go, you're gonna wake my grandma up. And I walk back up the stairs and shut the door and waited for him to leave, you know, heard the car leave. And I don't remember them guys ever getting caught, but a couple of times people would call the cops, and you could hear the cops coming a mile away in our town. Their fucking brakes were so noisy, you know what I mean? Their brakes would be like, man, you know how they grind, you know, like, or they whistle, kind of, I would call it. I can't even tell you the amount of times. You know, we're like snow commandos. You know, we play in the fucking snow. You know, the adults, they're not trying, you know, no cop is trying to fucking chase some kid in the snow for fucking bombing a car. You know, it ain't a felony. It ain't even really a fucking misdemeanor. We're minors and all that shit. No one's doing the paperwork and shit to get us in trouble, you know. And they kind of knew where we lived, but I can't tell you the amount of times we would find you'd have a house and they would have, I forget what kind of bush it was, but just a huge fucking bush, but like hedges all the way around, like, you know, like almost like fucking like England or something, or France, like where you see those old hedgerows and shit, but they're little short ones. I can't tell you the amount of times we commando crawled across the fucking lawns with the cop being like 7 feet away, but the snowbanks are kind of big, so they can't really see in the yard. And shit, I don't know, I just remember some of those fucking crazy stories. But we used to fucking, I remember one time the guy, I was never into lighting like leaf fires or anything like that. You know, but some of the kids would go around and they would light up fucking leaf fires, and I'm like, I'm not trying to get fucked up like that. I remember one time dude pulled the fucking alarm. Fuck, here comes all the traffic. Dude pulled the alarm at the middle school we were at, right? And it was probably, it seemed like 5 miles at the time, because I was like in 7th or 8th grade. But he was like, oh, back on the side of the school, there's like the fire alarm thing where you can says press down to, and we were just like, man, that shit don't work. You know, if you had any common sense, like today, you would say, man, stay the fuck away from that thing, okay? You know, because, you know, you're not trying to fucking, you know, like, I don't know what the fucking dude was thinking, but he pulled the thing down, and it just went click, 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 click. And I don't remember who said it first, but it was like, run! And my big ass is not running far. Like, I could probably run from the school, the front of the school, to like the back street of the school. But I still got to run all the way home. So my ass is like, by the time, so we got to where we got, and we pretended to play football when we got there, like at this big abandoned field that we would always fuck around in. And I just remember the cops kind of were like, which one of you guys pressed the fucking alarm down at the school? Nobody said, what? And I don't remember how Dave, my neighbor down the street, got in trouble, but he fucking, I just remember he got grounded for like 2 weeks. It was funny. He was the first person to show me a fucking Playboy magazine, and I remember we went behind his garage. It was me, him, my younger brother, a kid, Jimmy Ryan, across the fucking side street, and he's like, here, I got it. He pulls it out of her shirt. He's like, man, it's in my dad's toolbox under his like other magazines, and I'm like, okay, show us. You know, we've never seen a naked woman before, and I remember he showed us. And I can still see the woman's face today. And I just remember looking at her. And looking at her.
In a half mile, use the right lane to take exit
looking at her vagina. It's the first time I've ever seen a vagina. And I go, that's what all the fuss is about? I don't know what I was expecting it to be. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what I was expecting it to be. Like, they make it sound like it's some great... They make it sound like it's going to be some great fucking... I mean, it sure feels better than it looks. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you looked at it and you never... You know, like, you don't know, like, what... how it's going to feel, you know what I mean? But, I mean, the first person that ever fucking was like, you know what, I'm going to give it a go. It's just so, like, it just... I don't know. It's not... You know, it's just... What is it? It just looks like it's not finished. You know what I mean? Like, it just... I don't know, there's so many things it could be. And it just... I don't know, it's like, but anyways... Tales from the Crypt.